It was supposed to be lighthearted, playful, a cheeky pun about jeans. But within 24 hours, Sydney Sweeney's new American Eagle commercial spiraled into one of the strangest online firestorms of the year. What was meant to be a nostalgic, feel-good denim ad somehow triggered think pieces about genetics, nationalism, and Hollywood politics. And when Donald Trump himself jumped into the conversation? Yeah. That's when the internet officially lost it. Now, for the first time, Sydney Sweeney is breaking her silence, and her response is sparking an entirely new debate. Was this all just an innocent misunderstanding? Or was it a carefully orchestrated PR move gone a little too viral? Let's unpack how a single sentence, "My jeans are blue," turned into a cultural lightning rod. Picture this. A sunny suburban lawn, blue skies, and Sydney Sweeney smiling in a crisp white t-shirt. The voiceover starts. Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My jeans are blue. Cut to Sydney, giggling, flipping her hair, and posing in American Eagle denim. End scene. Simple, clean, and nostalgic, everything the brand's image has stood for since the early 2000s. But this time, something felt off. Maybe it was the jeans/jeans wordplay. Maybe it was the delivery. Or maybe the internet was just looking for something to dissect. Because within minutes of hitting social media, people started tearing it apart. Some called it tone deaf. Others said it was trying too hard to be clever. And then came the bigger accusations, that the line "genes are passed down from parents" was unintentionally echoing eugenicist language about genetics and purity. A stretch? Maybe. But once that seed was planted, it spread like wildfire. By the end of the day, the ad had gone viral, not for its charm, but for being the strangest campaign of the year. Let's be honest, it doesn't take much for social media to ignite. One viral clip becomes 10 reaction videos. 10 turns into hundreds. And suddenly, a 15-second ad is being debated like it's a political manifesto. TikTok creators began posting dramatic reenactments of Sydney's line, adding mock science class voiceovers like, "This is how dominant and recessive genes work." Twitter, or X, depending on who you ask, was even harsher. Memes flooded the timeline. Someone edited Sydney into a biology textbook cover titled "The Evolution of Fashionable DNA." But the criticism wasn't all jokes. A wave of serious commentary followed, blog posts, YouTube essays, and cultural critiques arguing that the ad reflected America's obsession with heritage and whiteness. It sounds wild, but that's how fast digital discourse mutates. An ad about denim suddenly became a microcosm for identity politics, genetic heritage, and the myth of the all-American image. And right in the middle of it was Sydney, who, up to that point, had never said or done anything remotely controversial. Just when things seemed to be calming down, Donald Trump entered the chat. On Truth Social, he wrote, "Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. Go get him, Sydney." And with that one post, the entire narrative shifted. Because now, this wasn't just a bad ad. It was a political statement. Right-wing media jumped to defend her, calling it a win for unapologetic American branding. Left-wing commentators accused the brand of flirting with nationalist imagery. And poor Sydney, who had probably just been filming another project and minding her own business, became a symbol for something she never asked to represent. Suddenly, headlines read, "Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad endorsed by Trump. Is Hollywood sweetheart secretly conservative?" Within hours, Sydney's political identity was being dissected across every corner of the internet. People dug up old photos from her family's 2022 birthday party, which had been criticized for featuring conservative iconography. That controversy, once buried, was suddenly trending again. Sydney, who's built her image on neutrality, now had her name tied to the most polarizing political figure in the world. And the cruelest part? She hadn't said a single word. For weeks, Sydney stayed completely silent. No posts. No interviews. Not even a cryptic Instagram story. Her fans grew restless. PR insiders speculated about whether she'd release a statement. Meanwhile, American Eagle quietly pulled certain versions of the ad from their YouTube pre-roll campaigns. Behind the scenes, you could almost feel the tension, a brand crisis meeting in one corner, Sydney's team debating whether speaking up would make it worse in another. When you're a celebrity in 2025, silence can mean anything. To some, it's strategic restraint. To others, it's guilt. And that's what made Sydney's eventual response so interesting. Because when she finally did speak, she didn't give the internet what it wanted. No apology. No explanation. Just calm defiance. In an interview with GQ, Sydney finally addressed the controversy. When asked whether she was surprised by the backlash, she said, "The reaction definitely was a surprise. But I love jeans. All I wear are jeans. I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt every day of my life." When the interviewer mentioned Trump's post, she laughed softly and replied, "That was surreal." And then came the line that summed it all up. The ad spoke for itself. "I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear." It was polite. Neutral. Almost detached. But behind that calm tone was something powerful: control. Sydney wasn't feeding the outrage. She was starving it. In an age where celebrities rush to clarify, defend, or over-explain, she chose the high road of indifference. And that, in itself, became the statement. Here's what makes this moment so fascinating. Sydney's brand has always been built around the girl-next-door image: natural, wholesome, relatable. But in the last year, she's been walking a delicate tightrope between innocence and intentional branding. Think about her trajectory. Euphoria made her a sex symbol. Anyone But You made her a rom-com darling. And now, the American Eagle ad positioned her as a nostalgic Americana icon. That's not an accident. Every stylistic choice, every brand deal, every photo shoot reinforces a particular image: the modern Marilyn Monroe with a touch of authenticity. So when American Eagle leaned into American jeans, it wasn't random. They knew exactly what Sydney represented to audiences: the blend of classic beauty and conservative nostalgia. The question is, did Sydney know what she was walking into? Some PR insiders suggest she didn't. Others think she absolutely did, and that the controversy only amplified her fame. Because whether she's being loved or criticized, everyone's still talking about her. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: marketing loves outrage. In 2025, no campaign truly fails if people are still debating it weeks later. American Eagle's website traffic reportedly spiked after the ad. #AmericanJeans trended on TikTok for days. Even the parody edits drove engagement back to the original campaign. So was this accidental controversy actually part of the plan? Some observers think yes. It fits a pattern we've seen with brands like Balenciaga, Bud Light, and Calvin Klein, pushing boundaries, courting conversation, then stepping back just enough to avoid real damage. A leaked industry analysis even suggested that the campaign's internal goal was to reignite brand identity through cultural dialogue. Translation: they wanted people to fight about it. And they got exactly that. Sydney's situation also reveals something much deeper about Hollywood today. Once upon a time, celebrities could avoid politics entirely. Now? Silence is a statement. When Trump endorsed Sydney's ad, it didn't matter whether she agreed or disagreed. Her silence was read as confirmation by his supporters, and deflection by his critics. There's no middle ground anymore. If you don't speak, they assign meaning to your silence. If you do speak, they twist your words. And that's the paradox of modern fame, especially for someone like Sydney, who has carefully built her reputation around being apolitical and authentic. It's not that she's trying to make a statement. It's that everything she does becomes one. Behind the glossy headlines, there's a real human impact. Sydney has often talked about feeling overwhelmed by fame, how people project identities onto her that she doesn't recognize. In earlier interviews, she said, People see this image of me, but I'm not always that girl. I'm just someone who works really hard and sometimes wants to disappear. That line hits differently now. Because the girl next door image that made her famous also traps her. She's expected to be relatable but flawless, politically neutral but morally clear, sexy but wholesome. And the American Eagle ad controversy became a collision of all those expectations. It wasn't just a misread joke, it was a moment that exposed how impossible it is to be universally loved in a hyper-divided world. So, how did it all end? Surprisingly, Sydney came out stronger. The backlash faded within weeks. Her next red carpet appearance went viral for all the right reasons. American Eagle quietly re-uploaded the ad with limited targeting. Fans rallied behind her, defending her right to simply not care. And industry analysts? They're calling it a case study in perfect PR management. Because Sydney didn't issue a notes app apology. She didn't cry on camera or blame her team. She just kept moving. That silence, the very thing critics demanded she break, became her weapon. Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad wasn't about genetics, or fashion, or even politics. It was about us. How we interpret, react, and overanalyze everything celebrities do. How one misread sentence can reveal more about our culture's fragility than the celebrity herself. We live in an era where outrage equals engagement, and engagement equals profit. Brands know it. Media knows it. And increasingly, so do celebrities. The American Eagle ad might not have been genius, but it showed how quickly we turn art, humor, and even clothing into cultural battlefields. And maybe that's the real story here. At the end of the day, Sydney Sweeney didn't lose control of the narrative, she quietly reclaimed it. She didn't fight the outrage. She outlasted it. In a world obsessed with instant reactions, she proved that sometimes the best response is none at all. So maybe the real message wasn't in the ad. Maybe it was in how she handled the aftermath. A reminder that sometimes, the loudest statement a celebrity can make is silence. Because in 2025, every word is political, every brand is a battlefield. And even a pair of jeans can start a war. So what do you think? Was the outrage overblown, or was there something deeper behind the ad's message? Was this marketing gone wrong, or a PR masterclass in disguise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and tell me. Is Sydney Sweeney the victim of internet overreaction, or the smartest celebrity in Hollywood right now? Because one thing's for sure, in this era, nothing is just an ad anymore,